want to start drawing expressive eyes, but you just can't figure out what's missing in your drawing, well, don't worry because it's actually way easier than you think, and I will teach you the ways. First of all, you should know that the eye can look very different depending on what style you use. For example, if you want to draw a surprised expression, it will look different in each and every style. Today, I will teach you the basics on how to draw expressive eyes, which you can also apply to your personal art style. If you're still developing your own art style, you can implement these methods and see which one works best for you. First things first, the eye shape. You've probably come across these kind of pictures and have wondered, okay, how is it possible to come up with these humongous amount of eye shapes? Well, let me tell you how. Have you ever heard of simplifying the shapes? Well, you can also simplify the eye shape. If we simplify the eye, you can split up the eye into 6 different parts. And in a nutshell, depending on how strongly you manipulate these shapes, you can create various eye shapes. For example, if you want to draw a diva, you simply elongate the middle part in a way where the eye shape looks more slender. That way, the third part of the upper eye can be shifted into another position, which creates a sassy look. Same thing with the under eye parts. If you were to elongate the middle part and even simplify it into one line, you can create an expression of joy. You can really go into detail here, but let's leave that for another time. But if you want to have a small overview, here's a little table I've created with all the different eye shapes and emotions that I came up with to help you figure out how to draw a certain emotion with this method. Now, the eye still has one thing missing. This leads me to the second aspect, the iris. This one is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. Depending on the shape and size of the iris and also the pupil, you can easily and quickly change the character's emotions. For example, if you look at a scared character, especially in animes, you will see how their entire iris shrinks to the size of a dot. And on other occasions, you will see how their eyes have the most unnatural size ever to create an adoring look on their face. Now, apart from shrinking or doubling the size of the eyes, you can also, as mentioned already, change the shape of the iris. If a character is, for instance, sad, you can draw the iris as a wiggly circle. And who says you have to draw a complete iris? Now, if your character is confused, you can give them a wiggly spiral line as an eye to show their confusion. Another one, don't even give your character an iris, or perhaps just 10% of it. If your character is shocked, ever thought of giving them an empty circle as an iris? You can really get creative with this. I've seen people drawing symbols as their iris, but if you want to draw the entire iris and your character doesn't have pitch black eyes, you cannot forget to fill in the character's eyes with a color, which already leads me to our third step. Depending on what color you choose for your drawing, you can vary in colors or values. For example, if the character you are drawing has blue eyes and they are angry, you can either change the value to a more reddish tone. If that doesn't look good though, you can also just add red accents to your character's eyes. Another example, if your character has brown eyes and they are sad, you can simply add some blue undertones or blue highlights to the eye to create a more cold and sad atmosphere. I mean, rules are there to break them, right? So if you want to show pure emotion, why don't you just draw the whole eye in a complete different color? Who says we have to draw them the same each time? And with the right mix of colors, you can create a big variety of different emotions and expressions. If you're unsure about the colors and their corresponding emotion, here is a helpful table that you can use as a guide. Another really underrated aspect that determines the emotions of the character are the highlights of the eye. Depending on where you draw the highlights, they will create a different effect. For example, if you draw a small highlight in the center of the eye, the character will have a neutral to happy expression. Whereas if you would put the highlight on the bottom of the eye and also spread them all across the eye, it can look like the character is about to bawl their eyes out. And just like every other artistic decision, you can also just remove them. That makes the character look very dull, depressed and sad, almost if they were dead inside. I personally don't use this method often because I want at least my characters to be happy if I can't. Okay, let's summarize what we've learned from this amazing video that you should definitely give a thumbs up and also consider subscribing if you're an alpha. So, you can create various expressions and emotions through different eye shapes. Be creative with the size or shape of the iris as well, if you decide to give them any at all. Choose an accent color for the iris that suits the emotion and expression best. The placement of the highlights on the eye can change the character's emotions drastically. Another one that I want to add that I did not mention in the video for some reason is depending on how you draw the eyebrows, you can really change the emotions of the character. Eyebrows are, I would say, the main point that determine the emotions of your character. Now you can draw the same eye, but as soon as you change the eyebrows, the character will look completely different. That's why in my illustration you can see the character has eyes that are tearing up, but the eyebrows, they are frowning, they are angry. That's why she looks angry. I don't know why I did not add this, but remember, eyebrows make up an important point. Don't forget to draw expressive eyebrows. I hope these tips were helpful and showed you how easy it is to draw expressive eyes, if you have no idea how to. If you have any questions left, you can always ask me and I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you for staying. See ya!